traders, welcome to a new video on trading practice. We're going to be looking at price action and volume and determining whether it would be a good time to buy or a good time to sell at each one of these vertical points. This was a Patreon suggested video because some traders have wanted more pattern recognition and more ways to identify the dominant trend and then be able to trade with the trend. So that's going to be the focus of today's video. I'm going to give you guys an option at each of these vertical lines to either buy or sell. That's it. And what you want to pay attention to, especially in this episode of Trading Practice, is to identify the dominant trend. Identify whether the buyers or the sellers are in control, and then try to trade with them on a retracement. So what that means is that if you believe that the sellers are in control, whenever price moves up, it may be a good time to sell. When you think the buyers are in control, like something like here, well then whenever the price moves down a bit, you can buy that retracement. That is one thing you can do. So starting with here, example 1, here we go. Vertical line here. Who do you think is in control, the buyers or the sellers? And if you get every single one of these correct, I mean, all power to you, but I think I have 9 points that I've selected throughout this price action. If you get all 9 correct, then, I mean, trade with my money then, please. All right, point 1, do you want to buy or sell? Who's in control, the buyers or the sellers here? Give you guys 3 seconds. Yes, the sellers were in control, and price falls quite a bit, like 3%. Now we get this kind of pattern here. We had a strong down move, and now we have consolidation. But do you believe that the bulls are in control now? Do you think that this would be a good time to sell or to buy? Option here would have been to sell, but do you think that this is just a retracement and price just continues the dominant trend? Or do you think that this is the beginning of an uptrend and we should probably buy? Give you guys 3 seconds to pick whether to buy or sell here. Yeah, you'd want to sell. How would we have known that? Well, we can see, first of all, that the sellers were clearly in control here. We had a retracement back up to previous support that became resistance. And this is all covered in my guide called Gravity, a guide to price action and volume. And you can see that this support became resistance here. Price couldn't really go any higher, and you get this. Then what we get is we see a little bit more consolidation until price does that. So the correct 2 options would have been sell and to sell. Now do you believe that this is a bit different? This next vertical line that you're about to get to, where you have the option to buy or sell, what do you think we should do here? Price is down here, and let me show one more candle. Price has just dropped right below 11,000. Does that mean anything significant? And is this probably a spot where we want to buy and potentially exit or short? Or is this a spot we could even go long? Or is this a spot we just want to keep shorting and just believe that the dominant trend will still hold? I'll give you guys 3 seconds to select whether to buy or sell. All right, so 3 seconds are up. Buy. Price crossed just below 11,000 on very heavy volume, and price goes higher, as you can see. This would have been a good spot to buy with a good amount of upside. So the correct 3 options so far, if you got all 3 right, sell, sell, buy. And the chance that you got all 3 right is 12.5% by my math. And the chance that you get this one right and these 3 right together would be 6.25%. So 6% of viewers are going to be correct after they get to this one. So do you think that this is a good time to buy or to sell? Do we think that this is strong selling volume, or do we think that the buyers are going to be able to take control? What do we want to do here? Correct option would have been to buy. In this short-term period here, price moved higher. If you had sold, you probably would have been okay. If you had bought in the very short term, you probably would have made a little bit. So I'd actually say that this actually goes both ways. This is both not a terrible place to buy and also not a terrible place to sell, because had you sold here, your drawdown is only about 0.66%, and then you get this. And if you had bought, you could have scalped this as well. So this could go either way, but I think if anything, I'd actually lean more towards selling. But I'm going to say that this is sell, sell, buy, and this one's a little bit unclear. And that's why I wanted to select not just reversal points, because that would make it a little too obvious if I was actually doing this practice game. But I also want to show points like this because this is important as well. Not exactly a reversal, but a beginning of a retracement back upward. But if you had sold here, that probably would not have been a terrible idea. Why? Well, hey, we see strong selling volume, and then we see retracement upward, which is giving us the ability to sell at higher prices. And had you sold around here, you could have enjoyed a nice profit. All right, here. So let's say whatever you had selected. We still see some consolidation here. Let's see what's going to happen at this next inflection point, next arrow, next vertical line. So at this point in time, if you were forced to buy or sell, which one would you pick? And you're just looking at price action volume, identifying the dominant trend. What do we think is going to happen here? I hope you don't know exactly what happened on July 4th, because if you do, then you would know the correct answer would have been to sell. Yeah, this would have been a very good spot to sell. Why? Well, the dominant trend is down, right? We see consolidation. So anytime that we see this consolidation and the market move up, that's giving us better opportunities for us to sell at elevated prices. If we wanted to, we could even layer in where, let's say that we sold here initially and we wanted to do 3 layers, meaning 3 sells. We could sell here, the price goes a little bit higher, we sell here. Price goes a little bit higher here, we sell there. And a stop loss, somewhere around here that would exit all 3 layers, exit all 3 sells that we had entered into. Example, let's say you're trading with 30,000 contracts. You could limit sell by putting a offer here, putting an offer here, and then just putting an offer here. So after we get some demand, you get your limit sell filled. So that would have been a pretty good spot for you to have sold. So imagine you had sold and you're holding a short right now. What do you think would be the best option to do right here? Do you want to still hold that short? Or do you think that this is a large amount of selling volume that could be stopping the trend and price could be moving upward? Well, answer will be revealed soon. Oh yeah, this is very strong buying volume here, as you can see. This would have been a very good spot for you to exit your short. Now at this point, if you've gotten a few of these wrong, you may be wondering, well, what's the point of this? Isn't this all just chaos and random? It really, a lot of theories on that. I could do an entire video on random walk theory. But what I will say is there definitely are patterns to momentum and to bullish and bearish pressure. And to really just identifying the major trend, identifying significant levels, such as that 11,000 level that we talked about down here that was broken, and then price went higher. And also just understanding when a significant amount of volume is being transacted, such as here. There was so much volume being transacted here that it did stop the trend. And I think that is one thing you really need to watch out for. And then we see this kind of price action, and then we see this. So that would have been a pretty good spot to buy. Why? Well, you see just so much volume here that the sellers look pretty exhausted. And now we have this, as you can see. So this next point here, what do we want to do? Does this look like the beginning of a downtrend, or do we really believe that the bulls are strong enough, they made this much of an effort up here, that they'll be able to carry us higher? So if you think that buying here would be correct, okay, then say buy out loud. And unless you're in a quiet library, then don't scream buy or sell out loud, because that'd be pretty annoying. Or if you think that the short-term bearish pressure is going to dominate, well then yell sell. Let's see. So in the short term, it looks like this would have been a not terrible spot to have bought, as you can see. Yeah, not a terrible spot at all to buy. Well, how would we know that? Well, like I said before, you have strong bullish pressure upward. You have short-term bearish pressure. But if you're able to buy on these pullbacks of the dominant trend that's clearly showed itself, well, then this is where you can really strike. Strike when the iron's hot, strike when price gets you better prices for you to transact at. So the correct answer there would have been to have bought. I highly doubt that anyone at this point has gotten every single one of these correct now. Even that kind of tricky one that I gave as a freebie, because it could go either way. Now here, what do we think? We just went above a recent high. We see a large amount of volume, but we also are seeing some strong selling volume here. What do you guys think? Up or down? Buy or sell? There is a right answer for this one. And yep, that answer for sure revealed itself. Selling would have been better there. Selling there, you would have had a max profit of about 2% after the price fell. But then I want you guys to focus on just how much volume was transacted in that candle. A ton of volume was transacted, which led the market to quickly go back upward like that. So as you can see, the kind of pattern that we see here is once you get a just absurd amount of volume transacted, typically the market moves in the other direction. However, when we see a middling amount of volume transacted, it typically tends to continue the trend, like this or this. This was the beginning of the uptrend here. But when we see this just a crazy amount of volume and crazy momentum, it eventually does end, and leads to this. So trading volume spikes or anything that's very, very high volume can be a pretty strong strategy. Let's see if I have any more points. I don't know if I do. But yeah, selling there would have been a lot better. Okay, so this was a pretty simple video, and I just wanted to do it because I find that it might not be the most exciting, thing, just watching price move up and down and deciding when to buy and sell. But this is retraining your trading mind. The more you do this, the more you do things like this in practice and understand price action and volume, the better your pattern recognition is going to be with identifying the dominant trend, identifying what's a volume spike that's going to lead to a reversal, what's just good volume that's going to lead to a continuation. You do this over and over and over again, and you get better over time. And then you don't find yourself constantly trying to trade against the trend or buying the top or selling the bottom because you're trying to trade with the trend and you don't really know what to do with how to trade with the trend. It's this practice that's really going to, I think, take you to the next level. I mean, I've said this a million times, but if you look at the best of any game, like Djokovic, Federer, if we look at tennis, Nadal, like their practice techniques are just way better than their competitors. If you look at LeBron James, Magnus Carlsen, those who play games at the top of their level, the way they practice is very different, especially people like Stephen Curry, and then Kobe Bryant with one of the most insane work ethics and practice techniques that there is. These guys and girls are just able to do what others do not want to do, practice in ways that others do not want to practice, and that's why they're able to get the results that they really want to get and dominate their field. So if you find this exciting, that's great, because that would mean that you can do this more often and you could, find some enjoyment from it. If you don't, that's fine too. What you can do, what I would recommend you do is just a little bit of trading practice every day. It can be price action volume, kind of like what I'm looking at here, just identifying dominant bulls or dominant bears to try to know when to buy or sell, know when the trend ends and know when the trend continues. Or you can use other indicators as well and just practice with those. But long story short, if I was to put that 2-minute segment I just said into one sentence, it's practice makes perfect and perfect makes profits. With that, happy trading. I'll see you guys Monday.